You're never gonna make it, you're not good enough. There's a million other people with the same stuff. You really think you're different? Man, you must be kidding. Think you're gonna hit it, but you just don't get it. It's impossible, it's not probable, you're irresponsible. Too many obstacles.
Welcome everybody. I hope everybody's having a great day or had a great day. This is the Big Vito brand going live, baby, live with my main man, David Virtue Stalwart. David, how are you doing tonight?
Doing fantastic, Vito. It's Sunday night here in March, but it's still cold, man. What's the temperature down there in Florida right now?
Well, I don't even want to tell you what I was doing in Florida today because I was doing a little golfing, a little country clubbing, a little pooling, and just having a plain old good time.
Not up here. I got to be inside, going to the cell phone place because they're trying to rack me for fees that I did not agree to. That's how I spent my Sunday afternoon.
Well, what kind of fees were they trying to rake you over the coals for?
Oh, gosh, they were trying to sell me these devices to put in your car, which gives you extra lines on your account, hidden activation fees, just so they could promise you unlimited data. Next thing I know, my bill was like $70 more a month. I took all that crap back and threw it on the counter, and I said, I want my money back. No cancellation fees. No termination fees. Just give me my money back like it never happened. They had to call corporate to make that happen. And it's going to take like 6 weeks on 2 different bills before they can give me my money back.
Really?
But anyway.
That's a live, baby, live in itself. You should have went on Twitch. Man, oh, man. Now, I know everybody's excited about today's show. I know everybody is excited about what's going on. I hope everybody is warm, and if you don't need to be warm, I hope everybody had a fun day Sunday. All right, we are going to start off the getting color with the sports review. David, did you hear the news that Bryce Harper finally signed, and he signed with the Phillies? What do you think about that?
Well, remember, I thought that that's where he was going to go, just because I figured they had the most money to give him. But then when it was finalized and it was 13 years, I mean, is he going to be a grandpa in 13 years for $330 million, Vito? I don't understand it, but I think they feel they need star powers in baseball, and to them, so they can sell some jerseys now, maybe get some home runs and RBIs. I don't know. I kind of like the Phillies, though, man. I think they might be the real deal this year.
I got to tell you, 13 years, and the reason I say 13 years, 13 is an unlucky number. And I say, you're going to Philadelphia, you're going in the cold, the snow, everything about it is just on the downs. On the good side, you're making the $330 million. But on the bad side, do you really want to spend 13 years with the Philadelphia Phillies?
Well, he has a no-trade clause, so obviously at some point if something happens and he doesn't like it there, he can waive that so they can get something back for him. But what team's going to take on that contract? That's if he ever does get traded.
The Yankees took on Stanton and his $300 million contract.
I guess it would depend on if that ever did happen and when during those 13 years. Like, is he still in his prime? Is he still productive? Or is he clearly on the downslope? And I don't know how that contract is structured. Does it change after so many years where he makes less towards the back end of it? I don't know. You know how they do.
It's an average of 31 or 32 million a year. And I think it's just, a straight contract. So however you put it, however you slice and dice it, he's a fixture with the Philadelphia Phillies. Now, being that said, there are still some top ball players out there who do not have contracts. Do you think this is part of the collusion in baseball, or do you think this is just the way the dominoes have rolled this year as far as free agency?
Well, I think it took a while for Machado and then Harper to get signed. Obviously now they're both signed, but for a while there, neither one of them were on the team, and those were the big names. So I think now that that's happened, whoever's left out there, and I can't remember, Vito, who's left that's not signed yet, but I have a feeling between now and April 1st, boom, 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 we're going to start seeing all of these free agents get teams, get deals.
Now,
Maybe
switching our attention to basketball, have you noticed your boy LeBron James crying his eyes out with the Los Angeles Lakers about making the playoffs and desperation and just running his mouth to downgrade the team? What do you think about that?
Well, you say LeBron, my boy. Why? Because I live near Cleveland and he played for the Cavs. But he had to have known what he was getting into. This would be the first year, because I think right now they're 4 games out of the last playoff spot, and there are some hungry young teams there. I don't think they're going to get in. Even if he does LeBron beast mode, I think the Lakers are in too big of a hole right now. Is this going to be the first time in his career he has not been in the playoffs? I can't remember if Cleveland made it that first year or not, back in 03, 04. Either way, it's going to be the first year in a long time, Vito. He's a diva. He is the Divas champion.
Yeah, but you want to know what's even more strange? That Carmelo Anthony didn't sign with a team. J.R. Smith never got traded. There are a lot of players on the Cleveland Cavaliers who you haven't heard of. And just the fact that the Lakers have not made a significant push to sign anybody, I mean, that goes to show you that LeBron maybe doesn't have the bargaining power with management that he once did with Cleveland.
I think Anthony Davis will sign there. I think he was handcuffed, though, to the Pelicans not trading him because they weren't getting the right deal for him. So he's going to just – granted, they'll probably trade him to get something for him at some point. But either way, I think Anthony Davis, when it's time, signs to play with LeBron James and with the Lakers. That's my gut feeling. I'm calling it now.
I hear. I know we have some people on Twitch. We got some people coming. If you got any questions in Twitch, mention your questions. Give us some intake. I know it's great to be on Twitch. I know we had a couple of days off, but we had to take care of some personal stuff. But we're back on Twitch. We're doing our thing. We're live, baby, live. David, why don't you give us some early plugs real quick before we start the show, get in color of what the real deal is on what we're doing today.
Well, first of all, you can follow me on Twitter at @NoDQ_Virtue. And Vito, I texted you some topics I want to talk about today. One of them, and of course, you lead the show, you bring them up, but we got to talk about Becky and Ronda Rousey's tweets. And if the rumor is true that Ronda does not like being in WWE right now, because the internet is all over that.
Well, I'll tell you, there is so much to cover. I think we're going to save the juicy parts for later on in the show. But let's start off with the AEW and the fact that they started out with a bang, but we haven't heard too much lately. You have any updates on AEW and what's going on? Has Arn Anderson signed on as an agent with AEW, or is he still laying low in the weeds, waiting for an offer from a big-time company?
Hasn't signed yet, that what we know about, and I have a feeling if he does, they'll do some little press release to make it seem important. I really expect that, unless Arn just wants to go home and relax and golf like you. I have a feeling that they're going to try to bring him in. I haven't heard anything yet, so I think he's laying low. In terms of what's been going on with them, I mean, they're a T-shirt company right now, Vito. Yes, Double or Nothing in Vegas sold out in 5 minutes. But that shows in May, I think. So it's WrestleMania season. And to be honest with you, they're a small company right now until they've actually made a splash. And this is Mania season. This is WWE season. They're not going to take the spotlight from WWE no matter how hard they try. Vito, the main event for Double or Nothing is a rematch we've already seen. Kenny Omega versus Chris Jericho that Japan delivered. So, yes, it's a rematch, but that's what they're giving us already, a rematch? That's the main.
Do you think the fact that Dave Bautista is has appeared on Monday Night Raw and is in an angle with Flair and Triple H, do you think that was the reason that he signed with WWE instead of going to All In #2 and being in the main event in that company?
I think he signed with WWE because for some reason I think he feels he has unfinished business there. We know that Vince can pay him money, and Vince pays his big megastars, movie stars like Brock, Rock. He gives them good money when they show up. So I'm pretty sure he's happy to be there, and I think he has unfinished business, Vito, because last time in 2014 he got booed out of the building as the baby face, and they had to do all of that changing with his direction just to put Daniel Bryan over. And I don't think that's how he wanted his last run in WWE to be. So now I think he's embracing himself coming back as the Hollywood villain, because I think they're going to try to get Triple H over as a babyface. I don't know. I don't think Triple H should keep wrestling at Mania, dude. He's taken spot. Like Batista, I get. He's been gone for several years. Why is Triple H always eating that spotlight up?
I don't know, but we have a question in Twitch. Twitch question. What is it?
What do you guys think about AEW?
National TV. David, why don't you go first? National TV for AEW.
All right. To me right now, it looks bleak. But, I mean, Jeff Jarrett couldn't get a deal with Impact, but he didn't have a billionaire behind him. Or not Impact, Global Force. And he didn't have a billionaire. So the cons, I think, having money and having their channels with their soccer league in England and, their ties to the Jacksonville Jaguars because his father owns them in the NFL, I think somehow they'll eke out a TV deal on. But I think it'll be an obscure cable channel. I don't think they're going to get on anything too mainstream. But, Vito, there's no news on that yet, right? Ted Turner owned TBS and TNT when he did the WCW deal. So that was a given back in the day. I'll believe TV when I see it. That's how I'm approaching this for
now,
AEW.
Do you think they actually have a chance to get on, something like Turner Sports and be on TBS, the Superstation? Do you think they have a chance to get on a deal like that? I mean, nobody's been able to get into WCW old school territory. Do you think they might have a chance and an influence or have an in to get on TBS?
Yeah, but I don't to me, I still think it could be on a more obscure channel, to start. And I don't know why. Maybe do syndication through WGN, like most places, most TV shows do, or something like that. Something you've heard of. WWE does USA, but USA is a pretty big deal now because I think NBC Universal owns them. I don't know about TBS and TNT. I could see ties with the Rhodes because Dusty from WCW, maybe there's people that Cody can reach out to there, but I don't know if they want wrestling, Vito, because wouldn't they have brought it back at some point since WCW if they wanted wrestling?
I get you, but what would you say if they landed a deal at Impact doing their TV tapings from Impact? From Orlando, what would you say to that?
Well, so they would go to Orlando to film. See, for TV that would make sense because I don't think we argued about this before. I don't think they can do big events every month yet, right? I think this is because these marks are traveling, spending like WrestleMania money to go to these all-ins and double or nothings. So I like that idea, Vito. I think if they want to start TV, I still don't know what network. I think it'll be a smaller network. I could see them going to a studio like Impact did, like NXT does, Full Sail on a smaller studio, just to record a bunch of TVs. That way they can at least do TV relatively cheaply until they figure something out. Again, Vito, they're a T-shirt company and an occasional event company until I see otherwise. And right now we're speculating.
Well, here's something that I want to bring up. It's something that probably nobody realizes. If I was at AEW and I said, I'm going to start doing house shows, okay? Now, I would do a string of house shows in 3,000-seat arenas only Friday, Saturday, and Sunday. If you could sell out those 3 arenas every single weekend, just doing it one weekend a month. Let's see. That would be 9,000 people. What is the average price of the tickets that you're selling?
I mean,
What do they go for?
I would think like $40. I mean, I'm sure they got ringside ones jacked up, but I would think they're definitely going to be less than WWE's price to try to fill these arenas quicker.
Do you think that the tickets they could sell would be $100 ticket? Is it worth it?
They're going to get the marks to spend that for the front rows for sure. The front couple of rows, they could even gouge those higher. There's no doubt in my mind that there'll be people out there that'll pay that. But the question is, you're talking an arena. Now, the smaller arenas, Vito, 3,000 people, a lot easier. But let's talk about the Quicken Loans arenas and those type of arenas that Raw goes to. They can fit 15 or 20,000.
We're talking about starting small, because I know they could fill one show, fill it up every 5 months, 4 months they could do. I'm talking about a weekend.
$40 a ticket, I think, is what the average needs to be. I mean, it should be more than an indie show, but less than WWE. They can get away upcharging front row, but if they did $100 a ticket for all 3,000 seats, Vito, they're not going to sell those.
All right, just to say $50 a ticket.
Okay.
We'll be modest. What is that? A $15,000 house?
Well, let's see, 3,000 tickets.
$50 a ticket.
Yeah, I mean, shoot, that's a $150,000 house, isn't it? I think
3,000 times 50. Yeah,
150,000. Yeah.
Yeah, 150,000. You figure merchandise.
They're going to sell that for sure, no doubt. I know they can do that. That's going to drive them for a while.
And then talk about sponsors paying to be on the show.
That'll help. That'll help. I mean, they definitely need to get sponsors. All big companies need that. But again, the cons probably have connections with some of that stuff, Vito, because of their sports background. So, again, that makes it easier when a billionaire is backing them.
How many matches do you have on an indie show? What would you say? What are the average matches going for with AEW when they do their show?
Well, like, what do you mean? How many matches per card, or how long each match should go?
How many matches on the card? What do you figure? 10 matches?
7 to 10, depending. Because I say 7 because some of those, their style is going to be indie style. They're going to have a lot of those matches go 20 plus minutes. So, you know, that's why I say it's not always going to be 10, because those style matches with those type of wrestlers, they always book them long, Vito. That's what the indie fans want.
Okay, so you're talking a 2 or 3 hour, 3 hour show minimum.
Yeah.
Can you keep the fans and active during that time and keep them interested in AEW, or will it bust and will the fans become boring and chant boring once they start getting established?
That's what right now it's gravy, right? Because they're traveling, they're going to they chant in between everything. But if they go to weekly, look at what's happening to WWE, right? Fans get bored because WWE is like a factory, right? They got to spin out shows off the assembly line. And fans get bored. And any promotion's susceptible to that, Vito.
All right. Now, we've got the people on Twitch. And Noel, what do we got going on Twitch today? We got nobody listening. We got nobody watching.
No, we have people watching. No questions.
No questions. All right. Let's turn our attention to the WWE. It seems that we might have a WWE fan base here. You know, we might have some haters on the AEW, and that happens. You know, not everybody likes it. Let's start out small. There is something I read about the Revival being on a losing streak. David, ever since they said they wanted their release, you know, Vince gave them the title, but now you're going to lose every week with the title. What are your thoughts on the Revival and their losing streak?
Well, there's a couple things. I don't know, putting the titles on them, and that's what happens in WWE. They put titles on people, and then they lose non-title matches, which is strange. I don't know why they do that. To me, it could be happening where Vince made him happy. We talked about this. He made him happy, put the titles on him, But you know how Vince always likes to get that revenge? Well, now he's going to job them out as champions and non-title matches to get back at you like, gave you what you want, but now you got to do what I tell you. And let's be honest, it demoralizes the locker room and those titles, but it is what it is. And they're trying to push the NXT stars. That's what they're doing. These guys are losing to the NXT wrestlers, the rookies.
Now, you talk about like tag teams and you talk about guys who have titles. What is going on with the Bar? I haven't heard much about them. They were, I think they're 6-time WWE Tag Team Champions. What are they doing with them on TV?
They've been losing against the NXT guys the last couple of weeks. They lost, I think they lost the tag titles to Shane and McMiz. That really didn't go anywhere because they dropped them to the Usos. And all I do is see Sheamus and Cesaro on TV in singles matches mostly, or tag matches jobbing to NXT wrestlers. So to me, some of these veterans that have been on TV for a long time are becoming good little hands. And at that point, why even have them together? Break them apart, push Cesaro, push Sheamus, have another contender up towards the top. I mean, why waste this talent in tag teams if these tag teams are going to work single?
But I think I got to tell you, I think when they did push them as singles, I don't think Cesaro is a singles player.
No, mid card though.
No, he has no charisma. When he was doing the singles run and he had Paul Heyman, 0.
Isn't that what the fans want today though? I mean, not all of them, but the diehards, just guys that could work. I mean, that's the problem. The wrestlers are catering to those fans, but WWE management, for the most part, Vince McMahon still wants entertainment, and these wrestlers are, doing their wrestling stuff, but they're not entertaining to Vince, and he's not pushing them. There is big time, I think, animosity in that locker room right now between Vince's team and Triple H's team.
All right, now we got 2 questions in Twitch. Eric, thank you very much. I hope you're having a great night. And you know what? Bits for tits. That's our logo here. But we ain't showing no tits yet, because we ain't got enough bits. Anyway, now, guys, another good angle, another good thing, source we're talking about here. They took the titles off Miz and Shane O'Mac, and Usos have the title again. But with the Usos champion, where do they go from here? Where do the Usos go with the title?
Well, I have a feeling they're going to the Miz and Shane do get a rematch against them here in Fastlane, which is in Cleveland a week from today.
Right.
Now, with that said, Matt recently came back, who I thought had a lower back. His tailbone was fusing with his hip, and he couldn't bump anymore. Now, next thing I know, maybe he did some DDP yoga. He's back, and they're pushing the Hardys again. So my gut feeling, Vito, is the Usos are going to go on to WrestleMania and probably defend against the Hardys. I expect Miz and Shane to probably end up having a match as well. Miz will turn on Shane. I didn't think that was going to happen, but now my gut says that will. So Usos, Hardys, I think that's what's going to happen.
And I think that would be a good WrestleMania match, something we haven't seen. I think that would be something prominent, and they're playing for something important. Now let's move down. Let's move down to. We have a question. Who's that? Matt Hardy contract up, David. You got any updates on the Matt Hardy contract?
Oh, I do not. And as far as I know, I thought they did a rollover. Whatever deal they signed when they came back at WrestleMania a couple years ago.
That's exactly what I thought. I thought they just rolled the deal over because they had that option.
I'm 90% confident. I saved the 10% for if I'm wrong, that's what happened here. And that's why now the Hardys are going to get pushed for Mania. I think they're going to be with us at least the rest of this year.
Okay. Now, another hot item you have going on, and another thing, you have the Brock Lesnar saga of what are they doing with Brock Lesnar, the WWE champion. Now, what do we have on the agenda for Fastlane for Brock? He's not appearing on Fastlane.
And I don't think we'll see him. I don't think we will see Brock until perhaps the Raw after Fastlane, because that's kind of like the first Raw that takes us home to WrestleMania. I don't think we're going to see Brock much. I think we'll start seeing him on these Raws leading into Mania, but I don't think he's showing up to Fastlane. He's got limited dates, Vito, and they just don't waste them on stuff like this. I mean, they just don't.
Now we have a question on Twitch. What we got?
They're saying that Matt Hardy, his contract.
Well, I also read that he just did that to create a buzz, just to make people talk. But I'm bet you he just rolled over the contract. But getting back, getting back to Brock Lesnar, this past weekend or yesterday, John Jones made a title defense and was successful at UFC. Now the question came up about him fighting Daniel Cormier, and and they're saying John Jones. Well, I got the real belt. Daniel Cormier has the fake belt, and he was asked the question, who do you want to face, Cormier or Brock Lesnar? And he picked Brock Lesnar, hands down. What do you think about the Brock Lesnar John Jones fight that could possibly be on the horizon at UFC?
I think it needs to happen. I think Brock's last stint in UFC was marred in the steroid or whatever he got tested for.
Steroid scandal with Mark Hunt.
But you take that out of the equation, he's like 5 or 6-3, right? That's a winning record, and he's been the champion. He's a draw. I mean, he's a draw, and believe it or not, Dana White knows that when Brock's in his octagon, he adds excitement. Dude, Vito, CM Punk couldn't fight a lick, and he got 2 fights in UFC because he drew non-UFC fans to watch, because the wrestling fans love watching the wrestlers, and I believe Brock brings more ratings, and why not? He does.
What would it take for Brock Lesnar to go and fight John Jones in the UFC? Would the WWE let him go and fight?
Yes. I absolutely think they would. And to me, don't you think it would be cool if they let him take the Universal Championship, free publicity, have him walk to the octagon for a real fight holding his WWE title? I always thought that would have happened by now. That's kind of weird that it hasn't. That's so Vince McMahon trying to pull something. Didn't Triple H walk Brock to the ring one time, or somebody to the ring one time in a UFC fight? Or he was there supporting him, something.
So I think it was just Undertaker showed up at one of Brock's fights, and that was the one where he challenged Brock. Yeah. But bringing up the Undertaker, it was an interesting segment on a podcast where the Undertaker came out of character and was talking about psychology in wrestling. Now, I have been saying this. Vince Russo's been saying this. Other people in the industry have been saying the same thing, word for word, that the Undertaker has said. I mean, because the Undertaker comes out and says, I think psychology and it's not real, and people are not invested in the characters. I don't know. I'm sorry. Was I speaking Greek? Was everybody speaking Greek? But because the Undertaker comes out and does a podcast and says the same thing that everybody else who's been in the business, that means something, or makes sense because he says it, it's a buzz. Tell me, am I wrong?
I mean, it's already been said, Vito, but because now the Undertaker said it and showed some emotion, right? Breaking kayfabe. Oh, now everybody can believe this stuff to be true. Isn't that unbelievable how fans only buy into certain people at certain times? But yet, you're right. Things that Taker has said, Mark Calloway, sorry, because that's who he was in that instance. It's been said by people in the business before on podcasts and this and that. But a lot of times it's joked about, like, oh, what are you talking about? You don't know. You just want to be relevant, this and that.
We got a relevant question in Twitch. What do we got for Twitch?
I don't have a question, but I'd like to find out. Subscribe to Twitch via Amazon Prime. And if you subscribe to
All right, now getting back to psychology and what the Undertaker says and everything being true, what he says is true. But David, I gotta ask you what they're thinking at the WWE by making Dana Warrior part of the creative team. I, for the life of me, can't even imagine what she is going to be doing in creative. And the first time Vince yells at her, what's going to happen when she cries?
I was shocked when I heard that. Like, it's one thing that we find out about Bruce Pritchard last week, right? And then I saw that Dana Warrior, it all intertwines. The Ultimate Warrior's widow is now part of so to me, you know what it tells me, Vito? That's what the creative team is today. It's a 25 or 30 people that all have the title of writer, and they all have one idea a week. And Vince, you know what I mean? And they're just putting Dana in there because perhaps, hear me out here, they need to put a demographic on the writing team and have a female because it's 2019 and Me Too. So I think Dana's there in that writing bubble because they don't have any female writers in that, and they're just trying to hit a demographic. They're trying to hit a demographic, to their stockholders. Yeah, we hire
So you mean to tell me that this could be a way that the WWE avoids being sued by a woman's rights, just like we have to employ how would you say it correct, politically correct? You have to employ certain ethnic groups in the company. Race, religion, gender. Do you think that has to do with what we're seeing now?
I do, because what experience does she have creative? Now, she has a degree in journalism and writing and creative writing that we don't know about, and it all comes out. Oh, okay, maybe she interviewed some, good creative ideas. But to me, I didn't think she had any of that. I knew she did public speaking. So right now, at face value, her signing to me is hitting a demographic to have a female on the writing team. Because I don't ever remember hearing about a female other than Stephanie, who doesn't count, on the creative team ever.
Now, would you say that this counted for when Vicky Guerrero was hired as a manager? Would you say it was the same effect, or did they believe that Vicky Guerrero could pull it off and be a heel manager?
I think at first they were throwing Vicky a bone because of what happened to Eddie, so they were going to make her work for her money. But somewhere along the line, she had breakout talent, which was on-screen character. So maybe if you look at that way, Vicky did a hell of a job as an on-screen heel character. She did. I don't know if she just absorbed that from Eddie or always had that talent in her. So maybe this will work out with Dana, and next thing you know, she'll become this next Vince Russo. Probably not. I'm leaning towards they just put her in there because she's a woman and they're trying to hit a number. That's my opinion.
Now getting back to the women thing, okay? What we're gonna talk about and hit up is the biggest angle in WrestleMania history right now, the hottest thing going, Becky Lynch and Ronda Rousey. Ronda Rousey and Becky Lynch have been going tooth and nail, neck and neck. They've been going at it. They have been attacking each other, and this has become a shoot, and this has become something that has been played up, but I don't think they're playing no more, and this has become serious where they are really getting serious. And we have a question in Twitch. All right, thank you very much.
Hi guys, thank you for joining the Big Vito where we are recording Getting Color right now.
All right.
There are people on Twitch. They're just doing the bits and the what's up, Vito. They're not asking us questions. They're just letting us go. I think they're just entertained by you and I going back and forth with each other. That's why
I think so. I mean, but hey, I can get on Twitter and start cursing you if that'll get us some bits.
Oh, man. So, all right, let me take over on this one. I cannot believe this is happening. Vito, you know this is true in the business. Works turn into shoots, right? And it's happened quite a bit. And for all we know, some mastermind behind all of this, and it is all a work. And they know the fans will bite it hook, line, and sinker, make Rhonda seem like she wants to leave and doesn't want to be there, wants to go start a family. So because it's wrestling, I will reserve a % of this as that possibility. But I can't believe this is how they're building the potential main event of WrestleMania, with two girls going at it like they're in high school, going for the prom king. I mean, this is ridiculous, Vito. And look at Charlotte now, who's been the proper one, who's only using Twitter to her advantage for promotion and not bickering. And fans hate her. Oh, Charlotte, you're not entertaining. You're boring. You're the Roman Reigns of the women's division.
Now, like we talked about this before we got on there, and we only touched on this today, earlier today, and I had said that, you know, the girls are bickering and fighting on Twitter, but Charlotte has grown up in the wrestling business and knows how to act properly, you know, for the business. So, I mean, you're talking about immaturity, talking about know-how. I'm not taking anything away from Ronda Rousey or Becky Lynch, but Charlotte does play it different. Maybe it's because she has the pedigree, maybe because she has the upbringing. But, you know, it is handled differently. You know, and Ronda Rousey, I mean, she's used to doing things, going in, kicking ass, talking her stuff, backing it up with fists. And, you know, it's not exactly that gung-ho when you talk about pro wrestling, aside from UFC. Am I right or wrong on that point?
No, you're absolutely right. I see a question here in the Twitch chat, Vito, to you. You want me to ask you? It was Eric.
First,
Eric,
we got an important question.
Eric,
so go ahead.
That's the question.
He says, what does Vito think about Becky's ability to main event? From Eric Kent.
Eric Kent, I got to tell you, throw me some bits for your tits. I got to tell you, Eric, I think that Becky Lynch can right now, because she is the hottest commodity in wrestling. I think she has earned the right and can main event in WrestleMania. I think that it's definitely a positive. I think that is definitely the way it should be right now, because there is no male athlete hotter than Becky Lynch. And I got to tell you, if this comes to play where she keeps dropping people, now follow the bouncing ball, people. In order for you to be the champ or be hot, you got to drop the champ. She's dropped the champ a few times and left the lane. That's why I think they're going to play this out and make it big. And Ronda Rousey is going to come out on top.
So back to this Twitter war, I really think that I just think it's tacky, in my opinion, Vito. And I wanted to bring this up because if you're going to invest these women being in the main event of your biggest show of the year, put this type of drama on screen. You're trying to get ratings up, right, on a stagnant Raw product. Why are you wasting this content on Twitter? And if it has worked itself into a shoot, get these two girls in a room and say, we're playing it off on television now, ladies. This is what you want. This is what we're going to get. Put this drama on TV. That's what I think, especially now. It's mania.
But then that's an unfair evaluation, because then what you want to see is you're going to get the fight before the fight. And you know what? If I'm Ronda Rousey, I ain't going to take shit from this chick, and I'm going to slap the shit out of her, and I'm going to make my point.
So you're saying kind of keep them at a distance like they've been doing, so you don't
Well,
ruin.
I mean, doing it your way, David, right? If we do it your way and we let them draw it out and say it blows and they go at each other, so then what did we get? We got a free fight, and we already got what we wanted to see at WrestleMania. That's why it has to go to Twitter. Social media is the source of how you get your angles over. Social media is the source of how we get to know our product and where the business is today. So, I mean, if you're really talking about, I understand your point, but the point is, do you really want to give away a free fight?
Well, if they're going to let Becky and Ronda do this war on Twitter, then I'm fine with letting Charlotte have all the TV time. Let Charlotte cut all the promos. Let Charlotte be the heel on TV. I'll take that instead. If you want to keep Becky and Ronda on Twitter, I'll take Charlotte on TV then, because she,
No,
to me,
you want to know something? When you,
out of all three of these girls.
and you talk about, like, let's talk about Twitter and talk about being on social media. Ric Flair got dropped by Batista and got carried out at his birthday party, and we haven't heard peep from Ric Flair. So what happened? Is it a kayfabe? Did Rick get zipped up? Did he break his jaw? Did he lose his mouthpiece? Is he not engaging? What's going on? Is Rick showing up on Monday Night Raw, as a surprise guest, and going to cut a promo on Batista?
They better do. If we don't hear from, I don't know if Rick tweets much anymore, but like if we don't hear anything from Rick after this, setting up, even if it's going to set up Triple H and Batista for Mania, it'll make Rick look so bad. Like if he's just off TV now, and that's all they used him for was to bring Batista back, and we don't hear Rick with a rebuttal, that's crazy. Like he has to be on one of these Raws coming up here, in my opinion.
Now, you want to know what I would do if I was WWE, and please steal my idea, but I would have Batista come on TV, and I would have Charlotte Flair march her ass to the ring and slap Batista in the face. And have Rick come, yeah. I mean, that would make headlines, and you're talking about her slapping Batista in the face, and having Batista laugh, and him go to attack or, do something to intimidate Charlotte. And then all of a sudden you have Ronda Rousey come out. You have Becky Lynch come out. Now you have the three top women in the ring with Batista. And then you have Stephanie McMahon come out, backing them up. And right now you have a legitimate 4 Horsemen deal, because they're representing the original member of the 4 Horsemen. And you're talking about something that would be so utterly creative that I just thought about it on the spot. I should be a writer. But I mean, what would you think about seeing something like that on TV?
I could deal with it only if you wrote it. When you were saying that, it got me thinking, what if, because we never saw Rick officially get laid out. They just had Batista pull him out of the room. What if they did an angle where it was a setup to get Triple H and Batista, and next thing you know, Rick and Batista are buddies. Maybe Orton comes back and all three of them are just against Triple H. You know what I mean? Like, to me, I'd like to see something like that. Now, chances are with Rick being 70 years old, they're probably not going to use him much anymore. But I'd like to see Rick on Batista's side through all of this. And it was just a ploy to get Triple H to cave to allow the Batista a Mania match.
And Randy Orton giving RKO out of nowhere to Triple H.
Yeah, it might as well. Yeah, I mean, they really want to make Triple H and Stephanie baby faces. And those are the two hardest people to make baby faces. So I'm just trying to think of anything outside the box that you could do to make that work. But who knows with them anymore? What do you think Bruce Pritchard's going to do? His hands are all over this now, right?
Yeah, his hands are all over Vince McMahon's ass, rubbing it so he can keep his job.
Yeah, I agree.
And Vince Russo didn't even tell me to say that. It just came out natural.
Yep.
It's better than kissing ass.
But I mean, I'm glad you brought that up with the Twitter war, though. Like, it's just crazy. I get social media in 2019, but like hyping a WrestleMania match, okay. So I don't know.
All right. So for that note, we got a question. So they cleared him to wrestle. They cleared him to do all this stuff. So
just yesterday that he told Batista he's not allowed to get hit in the midsection at all anymore. He's not cleared to be in the ring. He can do things, but they don't allow him to get hit in the midsection anymore.
I don't know. So that's news right now. So obviously Ric Flair is out of that position. Maybe the referee, but you know what? Guys, I wish Ric Flair would have just left the business as, on his WrestleMania moment and never came back and been a commissioner. And then that would have been it, leave him with some dignity, because some of the things he's done over the years, especially being slapped by girls and dropped by females, it diminished him, and dropping an elbow on a jacket. That's not Ric Flair that we all remember. That's not Ric Flair who we know. And it's just sad to see that the things we remember and things that were done, it's just not the same. So you'd rather not see Ric Flair do anything, just like, a good Arn Anderson promo. There's nothing better than a good Arn Anderson promo when Arn Anderson is right and he's good for an angle, which they never have used. And if they got that seriousness back, like what The Undertaker was saying, maybe there'd be more believability and accountability in wrestling.
I agree. And here's the thing, though, Vito. How do wrestlers turn it off to finally make a retirement? Like, you know what I mean? Like, you're right. If Rick retired after he lost to Michaels at Mania and never did anything physically again, that's how it should be. But why do you think they can't? Is it money? Is it glory and fame? I mean, do we all have to go watch Mickey Rourke and The Wrestler? Because that might help explain it. But what do you think? And also, too, I see something in the chat here. Fat Vortex asked you, hey, Skull Von Crush, do you like The Undertaker?
Of course I like The Undertaker. Who doesn't? It's not a point. Guys, this is not a point of liking somebody or liking or anybody, anything. You're talking about public opinion and psychology in the wrestling business. When you talk about wrestling, Undertaker grew up in Memphis. I wrestled in Memphis. Undertaker wrestled in Puerto Rico. I wrestled in Puerto Rico. Undertaker wrestled in WCW. I wrestled in WCW. Undertaker wrestled in WWF and WWE. I did the same thing. We came up the same way. We did the same things. The Undertaker is a bigger star than I will ever be, and I acknowledge that. But it doesn't erase the fact that psychology, respect to the business, accountability, and what you know about the business doesn't change because we were both taught wrestling psychology 101 from the ground up from 25 years ago.
Yeah, I agree. And I don't know. I mean, old timers have that knowledge, Vito, and it's cool to have them around to try to get the younger generation to say, hey, this is how we did it. I've heard a lot of this lately, that the younger generation wrestlers just don't want anything to do of learning from the old school guys. And is that just the way it is now? Like, are we in an era of all these self-entitled wrestlers who feel they get themselves over in the indies to where they don't really respect? Now, I'm not saying it's about everybody. There's still people that respect, like Arn Anderson and these other people in the business. But
let's take the new guy, Ricochet.
Yeah.
He's a flippy guy. Does a great flips. Does a high spot fest. But if you really had to take away the flips and the flops, would you take him real serious as a wrestler?
Nope. He'd just be another cruiserweight.
Exactly.
Yeah.
The Aleister Black at least looks the part. Looks like it could be. We have a question from Twitch.
Yeah.
No comment. Anyway,
was that about Jim Cornette? Was that about Jim Cornette?
Yeah.
Yeah, here's the thing with Jim Cornette and wrestling promotions, in my opinion. Give him enough rope. We'll see what happens. Yeah. Give Jim Cornette enough rope, and we will see what happens. That's it. That's all I got.
That's all you got.
For Jim.
All right, David, listen, we are going to call it a night, and we are coming to an end of Getting Color, another great action-packed show. Do you know, David, that the ratings for Getting Color on the Big Vito brand has been doing excellent, and the shows keep getting better and better, and we get more and more downloads. I just want to say you do an excellent job with it. You have been doing a great co-host, and I just want to thank you for being on board and for the hard work you're doing here. You know, for anybody else out there who wants to support David and everything he's doing, please do so, because he is with the Big Vito brand. He does do his virtue of wrestling. He does do a lot of great stuff, so give David the credit because he did earn his keep. and he did earn a spot here on the Big Vito brand. So it's great to have you, you know, and you got to promote your people from within, and that's what we're doing. David, take a bow.
Well, thank you, Vito. And I love posting these video or these audio clips of Getting Color on Monday mornings, because that's when everybody loves listening to them during their drive to work, their drive home, lunch break, water cooler talk. And that's what I've noticed. A lot of people interacting with me about what we talk about on Mondays, because it starts their work day, right? They're all looking at a long work week. That's why they love starting it with Getting Color.
Well, I'm glad that we come up with a great content and we have a great show, enough for people to come in and tune in, and we give them something to listen to that's pleasurable and something for them to talk about, because not only do they talk to you, but they got to talk to their friends or other people in the wrestling community about what's going on the Big Vito brand and what's going on between Big Vito and David Virtue Stalwart. All right, David, what do you got for plugs to close the show?
All right, follow me on Twitter at @NoDQ_Virtue. If you go there, you will see everything that I post. My Virtues brand of wrestling stuff that I do for the BigVitoBrand.com, my NoDQ.com stuff, everything else. Just go to my Twitter. That's the easiest plug for me, Vito. You'll see the T-shirts. Everything is there. And if you don't know, ask. Tweet me at @NoDQ_Virtue.
All right. And this is the Big Vito brand. We're going to stay on Twitch for a little bit. I'm going to stop the broadcast, and we're going to stop this right now. Check out the Big Vito brand at thebigvitobrand.com. Go press the purple button. Subscribe. It costs you nothing. This is the Big Vito brand signing off. David, stay with me. We're going to play on Twitch for a little while. Everybody, peace out. Reese's Pieces going out later. All right.